Words and deeds. The dilemma of French politics. French politics, like those of many other countries, is often marked by flamboyant rhetoric and big promises. Yet the gap between politicians' words and their actual actions remains a constant source of frustration for citizens. As the comedian Coluche said so well, if politicians started to keep the promises they make, they would need the United States budget. This incisive quote perfectly sums up the feeling of disillusionment which permeates French society in the face of broken promises. This essay explores the reasons for this disconnect, the consequences for public trust, and the need for real change. Political promises. A cycle of disillusionment. Electoral campaigns in France are often the scene of grandiose promises. The candidates compete in ingenuity to seduce the electorate with proposals for social, economic, and environmental reforms. However, once elected, politicians face the reality of budgetary constraints, institutional blockages, and pressure from lobbies. Take the example of education reforms. For decades, successive governments have promised to modernize the education system, reduce inequalities, and improve the working conditions of teachers. However, the results often fall short of expectations. Reforms, when they are implemented, lack funding or are watered down by political compromises. The resulting disappointment fuels citizens' cynicism and distrust of their leaders. The consequences on public trust. The repetition of broken promises has a corrosive effect on public trust. Citizens feel betrayed by leaders who seem more concerned about their re-election than implementing real change. This distrust is reflected in declining electoral participation and a rise in political extremes, on the left and right, which capitalize on general discontent. The example of the Yellow Vests reveals this frustration. This movement, born in 2018, was triggered by an increase in fuel taxes, but it quickly evolved to express a general fed-up with economic inequalities and the lack of political representativeness. The Yellow Vests embodied a protest against a system perceived as deaf to the concerns of ordinary citizens. The lack of real change. The political music continues without real change because profound reforms require not only political courage, but also a social consensus that is difficult to obtain. Economic and political systems are often rooted in vested interests that resist change. Additionally, policies must navigate a complex global environment where national decisions are influenced by international dynamics. The health sector in France clearly illustrates this difficulty. Despite repeated promises to improve the health system, public hospitals continue to suffer from underfunding and overwork. The COVID-19 crisis has highlighted these weaknesses, but it has also shown the difficulty of reforming a system where the interests of different stakeholders, medical staff, administrators, patients, and manufacturers, are often divergent. The need for real reforms. To restore public confidence and respond to current challenges, France must go beyond words and engage in deep structural reforms. This implies increased transparency in decision-making, better management of public resources, and a political will to confront particular interests. It is crucial to put in place accountability mechanisms so that elected officials are held to account for their actions. Independent institutions for monitoring and evaluating public policies can play an essential role in this regard. Additionally, encouraging citizen participation and strengthening democratic processes can contribute to a more representative and responsive government. Conclusion. French politics, marked by a tradition of broken promises, must evolve towards a culture of responsibility and transparency. Words must be followed by concrete actions for the music of change to truly resonate in society. As Coluche so eloquently said, politicians must be held to their promises, not with the United States budget, but with a genuine desire to serve the common good. It is only at this price that France will be able to overcome its current challenges and build a more equitable and prosperous future for all its citizens.